Hello everyone and welcome to another video with Cass on the Maizuma channel. And I did it! Haha! Check this place out, guys. Isn't it amazing? Wow, to think that I built this entire thing block by block. I am so amazing. Just kidding, of course. I downloaded this thing from Planet Minecraft and added some redstone, like the scoreboard that you see back there. I had to make quite a few changes to the thing. For instance, I added this ball here. Isn't this cool? So I have a nice ball here at the center of the entire thing. And I also added this panel here. And with this thing, we can control the scoreboard on the opposite side, the thing that you see in there. So you can see the numbers. So apparently we have a red team and a blue team. So if I press the blue button, we can watch the board here. It's going to change from a 1 to a 2, and if the team red scores, we can also press the red button, and then the corresponding score is going to change. So now it's an 8. So let's say the referee decides to nullify one of the goals, so it's voided. So now team red is back down to 7. And there it is, 7. Same can happen to the blue team, so let's watch that. So from 2 back down to 1. Simple like that, guys. Just decided to show a cool application to you guys, to the counters that I showcased a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, what is happening here, every time you press the button, I basically down here have a post length encoder. And the cool thing about it is it can send all of those different commands using a single redstone line. So yeah, we have 5 different signals, which means we can increase blue score, increase red score, decrease red score, and decrease blue score. And we can also reset both, which I will do in a moment. Here are the displays that I showed you guys 1 month ago or so. And the orange circuit here works as a decoder. We don't actually need this torch here. Those were for testing purposes. Yeah, so it decodes all of the 5 commands so that we can use those in here. And if you want to know how to control things remotely, like I just showed you guys, I made at least 2 videos on how to send information remotely, decode and code information and things like that. So let me show you the last functionality so we can see the score resetting before we go straight to the redstone part of the video. So if we press the black button, it will reset the score. So let's watch it closely. And there you go. Yeah, blinks a little bit because of the things that I'm doing to decode the commands, but it works in the end. And now, yeah, you can use the scores again. So there you go. There you have your 1 on this side. Okay, guys, enough of the cool stuff. Time to go to the really boring stuff. So time to talk a little bit about this counter that I showcased to you guys a couple of weeks ago. So there's so much to talk about. So you can see that now it's operating on the auto count mode now. So yeah, you can see that it will propagate the value. So 124, 25, 6, 7, and it will carry correctly. So this is going to be 3 now, and so on. And this is a feature that wasn't demonstrated in the video. So yeah, I can stop this clock. Now let's see what number it's going to stop at. So 144, and I can also flip this lever here, and it will automatically count down now. So 142, 1, 0, and it will carry here. So this will become a 3. And so 1. So it's quite quick, but it's even faster than what you think. 1, 0, and then it's going to be a 2 in here. So yeah, works perfectly. Let me show you just one example of how it can be faster. There's a little hack in here. So if I flip this lever, it counts up really fast. But as a result, the 7 segment displays are not able to render them properly. So it renders the 0 and 9. So you can see that it's going to change to a 4. Well, 9, and then it's going to change to a 5. So yeah, it can count really fast. internally. So it's just the displays. The displays are not going to be able to render the numbers real fast, but the internal memory is capable of handling it. Okay, so yeah, this is, in case you missed the video, those are all expandable units. Those are all exact copies, so I put a lot of work on these to make sure that if you replicate this, or if you want to expand this really far like I did here, you just have to build the same thing over and over again. No specific changes to any of the units. So yeah, this was a little bit of a challenge. And here you can see one isolated unit, but before, let me show you the reset. So we are at 170 now, and if I press the red button, it takes a little while to kickstart, but then once it does, it's going to propagate the 0 real quick. You can see that how it propagates is really fast, especially considering the size of this thing. I don't think anyone is going to build a counter that big, but yeah, does everything you want, you know, counts up, down, resets, quick, silent, simple to build, very compact. Well, it's not simple to build. Like the displays are really simple, but the logic board that I added here is really complicated, unfortunately. Okay, so you can see the display with a 9 in here, and the units, if you wanna clone and replicate. By the way, this map was available to you guys since day 1, so if you wanted to know how this thing works, you could have just downloaded the map. So if you want to clone things manually, you can clone from this block to this other black block here, and then just keep cloning to this other general direction in here, and then they're going to work together. And the reset button is going to work. So I added a increase button in here, decrease button in here, and reset. So I can press the reset button, so just so you guys can check out what one unit is going to do. Let's use the increase function, and then it's going to change into a 1. So yeah, you can do 1-by-1 steps. You don't need to use the clocks. Also, the buttons work if you want to do 1-by-1 steps in there. And yeah, this is the logical board that makes everything work. So yeah, it's kind of complicated. So this is actually the 3rd time I'm recording this video, because it's really complicated to not mess up the explanation for this thing. I want to try to make it simple, but it's not really simple. Alright, so you're trying to do a counter that counts both up and down, right? Let's forget about the resets, the silence and everything. Okay, so my first idea was to use Deco's counter because it does everything, but the inputs and outputs are not really convenient for this project, especially because I wanted to stack things, you know. So in case you missed it, there's a tutorial for the 7-segment display. It's really awesome display, and especially because it's controlled by signal strength. So if you send a specific signal strength here, you can change the number, so you don't have to use binary or anything. I even showed you how to convert directly from binary into signal strength and then input your signal in here. So it's really awesome. So all I needed was to add another module. So the 7-segment display module, the signal strength decoder module, and the controller counter module is now here. So it's one logical layer, or 2 redstone layers in this case. So really proud of this. It was really awesome, and I was almost driven mad at the end of the project. Okay, so the first challenge is you're trying to increase a value, right? So every time you press the button, that's okay. You're going to increase from 1 to 2, that is all fine. Or if you're trying to decrease, all fine as well. You know what you're doing. But the problem is when you get down to 0, the logic kind of messes up, because from 0 you cannot go down to -1. Signal strength doesn't do that. And yeah, forgot to explain, but internally it has a signal strength memory, so it can't go -1. And what the system is supposed to do is to wrap around, so it goes, and when you're trying to decrease, it actually goes up to 9, and it sends a signal to the neighboring cell, so the neighboring cell knows that it has to also decrease. So let's try to decrease once again. So the first challenge is decreasing. Yeah, it's this button, right? So the first challenge is the wraparound thing. So how to decrease from 0 to 9 when you are actually increasing. And of course the opposite is also part of this challenge. So 9, you're trying to increase from 9, so let's hit this button. Instead of increasing, it goes all the way back down to 0. So this is the first challenge. I try to color code some of the things. So the dark color here in the middle represents the actual memories, the memory devices. So those are responsible for storing the actual numbers. So what I did at first was to store those numbers as values, signal strength values between 0 and 9 because of the digits, right? And what made everything much simpler was to use a wider range of values. So instead of using only 10 different signals, I'm using 12. So I have 10 values for the digits plus 2 transitional values. So a 1 internally is actually a 0, which means that now when I decrease from 0 to -1, it goes from 1 to 0, and I have a way to detect it. And the way I detect it is, since this is the memory, right? This is the thing. When this goes to 0, this repeater is not going to be capable of blocking this comparator anymore. So let me change the value. I think I can just press this button. So yeah. So the signal is already at 1. If I decrease it once more, it will be 0, right? So this repeater will die. And this guy is basically all the time trying to inject a signal inside the memory. And if it's a higher value, it's going to stick. So when this comparator is too weak, when this repeater is too weak, look at what happens. It's finally able to inject a 10 in there, so it sticks. And because it now has a value different than 0, the signal gets blocked once again. From the other side, this is a very similar logic, right? So we are at 10, and if we increase once more, we go to 11, and 11 is going to be another transitional value. And what it does is it's going to kill this repeater in here, allowing this guy here to subtract 10 from the memory. So this is the memory cell, right? And this is the redstone dust that's going to subtract a value from the memory. So we are going to be always at 11. So this part of the circuit never triggers if we're not at 11, which is a transitional value. We get to 11, we subtract 10, we are all the way back to 1. And this is how I wrap around on both sides. Okay, we have now a way of keeping the counters consistent, but we also need to carry those signals to the neighboring cells, so they know that they need to also increase in response to what happened, right? So, and one of the problems that you might actually underestimate was to lay this out. So at some point, for instance, I had a way of having all the inputs and outputs, because you have 3 inputs and 3 outputs, right? You have to input a pulse for increasing, for decreasing, and for resetting, and you also need to propagate the reset. You also need to propagate the carry up and the carry down. So lots of inputs and outputs. And at some point I was able to to make everything work, but it was impossible to take an output out of it. This memory cell was in the middle of everything and completely isolated from the other parts of the circuit. So I would have to do something like this, for instance. So have the signal here, have a comparator here, and something crazy. And this would basically add one entire layer for this thing, just so I would be able to get the output, and with the output I can do anything like hook it up to 7-segment display. So coming up with a proper layout that would fit the digits side by side was challenging as well. Even fitting the reset thing was challenging, because as you can see, I'm using one extra layer. My goal was to have this thing completely, the logical board here completely fit within the footprint of the displays, and I actually managed to do that, but it only worked for 3 or maybe 4 digits if I stretch it a little bit, but I wanted it to work for an infinite number of digits, so I paid the price. So yeah, I even had to install this texture pack that everybody has been asking me about, so I could read the signal strengths, because debugging this thing was complicated. That's okay. Alright guys, let me do a quick demonstration to show you guys how fast this thing can be. So yeah, once again, let me use maybe a glass block as a marker in here so you can see. Yeah, we have this value in here. If I increase, now you can see that increasing is really fast. Yeah, it wrapped around, so it's back to 1. Let's increase again. It's really fast. You press the button and it happens basically out very quick. And decreasing is a little bit slower for reasons. The decreasing was really complicated. Basically, I reuse the circuit that wraps around, you know, every time it subtracts 10, right? So what I do here is when I try to subtract, I'm actually, or decrease, I'm actually only decreasing by 1 and not by 10. So what I do here is I kill this repeater, so this guy would be able to subtract 10, right? But I subtract from the guy that subtracts. And instead of subtracting 10, it now subtracts only 1. And the timings were really annoying to deal with, because with this kind of memory latch, if you pulse this for longer than you're supposed to, it's going to subtract or add more than you want, like 2, 3, or 4 at once. And yeah, like shortening the pulses was very annoying to work out with this layout, but that's okay. I can show you how fast the internal memory is. If I flip this lever, you can see the values increasing really fast, already working. And you can see the values being carried, so 3 in here now is going to become a 4, and yeah, it's kind of fast. If you decrease those values, things get even faster. Let me show you. So stop this clock, and you see it here. I just have this thingy in there. See how fast it decreases, wrapping around, resetting, decreasing. Yeah, the values corresponding to this will also decrease. This is very nice and pleasing to see working. So let me stop the clock. Alright, and then I can press the black button and everything will reset. So yeah, I think I mentioned it before, but the values are actually inverted. So when we have a high value inside the memory, it displays a low value, and the opposite is valid as well. I already know how to make this even faster than it already is, but I would need a break. Maybe in the future I will do this project again, because I actually have 2 more displays, no, not displays, but 2 more counters to show you guys. And one of them has a optional feature that lets it count really fast, and the other one is actually piston counter, a lot more limited than this one, because it can only count in one direction. It's one of the old style counters that if you want to count down instead of up, you would have to rewire or rebuild the data inside it. It uses a little ROM inside it, but it's the most compact ever done, I think. And yeah, it's really cool. So guys, I don't think I want to do a block by block tutorial for this. I don't think a lot of people are going to be interested, but I'm trying to position myself in places where it will be easy to copy the circuit in case you cannot download the map, in case you're playing on other platforms, because as you can see, I'm only using torches and repeaters and comparators. So I think this works in, I would be very surprised if this wouldn't work in every platform for Minecraft, Java, Bedrock, or anything you want, really. So as a courtesy, because you guys always blame me, I will show the values for the furnaces, because this is furnace galore. And you can replace the furnaces with hoppers. Actually, hoppers would be easier, especially in cases like this one. Like, where's my, yeah, this one, like, you need lots of items inside. Okay, so let's go from layer by layer. Okay, so on this layer we have 3 furnaces. So first one has this, second one has this, and this is the third one, right? You can you don't need this specifically, you can have just two unstackable items in here. It's just because I have a furnace in my inventory that already has this, the full thing, you know. So the second slice has this furnace here with 2 unstackable items, and on the other end it has this other one, which is more complicated to make. So the next slice doesn't have any furnaces, no furnaces, and the last one has this furnace in here with 2 more stackable items, and this other furnace in here with this more complicated setup. The thing that you have in here is the same thing that you have in here. And there's this input thing in here. I think it's the same. So yeah, it's 5 slices every time. So it's 5 wide here in total. I only changed the first one because the first one needs to change some things. Like this block in here always needs to get a signal strength of 11. So if I press the button, you can see it's always 11. Cannot be more, cannot be less. And you also need it will shorten the pulse automatically every time. This little circuit here, it's pretty cool how it does it, but it's basically here to shorten the pulse. And this one, it won't shorten the pulse automatically, so you have to do it yourself. So what I do here is I power a comparator and I kill the signal 2 ticks later or 1 tick later, right? So those are the controls. So this in practice, I think this is the decrease, although it shows it increasing, and this is going to be the increase, and then the reset has to be long pulse. I think it's longer than 4 ticks. I cannot just inject 4 ticks in here. The button has enough long pulse, but I think it's something like 7 ticks, 7 redstone ticks, if I'm not mistaken. So you can use a pair of comparators to make the signal longer in here. You can experiment with that. So hopefully this, if you pause the video here, is going to be not so confusing for you. Maybe if I zoom in here, you guys can pause the video and try to copy the circuits. And sorry guys, I'm not doing the block by block tutorial. I really wanted to get this video out, but at the same time, kind of busy today specifically. I really don't think I did a good job at explaining how everything works in here, but I tried. I tried something. So yeah, if you am I invisible? I think I'm invisible. I think, yeah, on this map I'm invisible, so you can't see me. But anyways, thank you very much for watching, guys. If you have any questions, just post in the comments. I will update this map and make it available for download to you guys. Sometimes I forget to add the link, so you can just notify me in the comments if you remember. And once again, thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you soon, guys. Bye.